Okay guys, let's start our class for today. In the previous two classes, we have already completed our distributions, right? So what's our next step? We would be considering today continuous distribution, right? So note down the heading. Continuous distributions. As I told you, the basic difference between discrete distribution and a continuous distribution is, in discrete distribution my sample space would always be discrete, right? For example, I can measure it at a particular point of time like 0, 1, 2, 3, right? I could not have decimal number of values, something like this. Okay, in continuous distribution I cannot define a particular point, but I would be talking about a range, right? For example, if I take the sample space of my discrete uniform distribution, so what was the range? 0, 1, 2, 3. So these are particular points, discrete points. But if I define my continuous distribution, uniform distribution in continuous domain, then I cannot simply write 0 to 3. I cannot write 0, 1, 2, 3. I will write 0 to 3. This means it will have 0, 0 0.01, 0 0.001. For example, 3. I have 2.999, I can have decimal values as well. So I would not be defining a particular point, I would be defining a range. So please remember, in our continuous distribution we won't be defining particular points, but we would be defining a range. Is the difference between continuous and discrete clear? Clear guys? If it is clear, note down the first heading, uniform distribution. I told you that uniform distribution is the only distribution that works in both continuous domain as well as discrete domain as well. Clear? So here my x random variable follows uniform where my limits are alpha comma beta. It means my range. In my discrete distribution my range was 0 comma 1. I was talking for 0 comma k, right? Here I have alpha comma beta. This is my lower limit, this is my upper limit. Clear? So write down my x lies between alpha and beta. See the difference between continuous and discrete. There I was defining x is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3 dot 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 till k. Here I am defining a range that it is from alpha to beta. If I am given the same range, so I can write 0 x k as well. It means my alpha is 0, my beta is k. Clear till now? Now moving forward, fx. Here I will be writing fx. Okay. There if you remember I was writing px is equal to x. This notation only works for discrete. You should be concerned about the notations as well, because in examination you may be penalized on using the wrong notations, of course. So this notation can only be for discrete. Why? Because here when I say equal to, this means I am working for a particular point, right? So I cannot write fx as probability x is equal to x, I will simply write fxx, okay? So this is equal to my 1 upon beta minus alpha. So I would simply have a subtraction of the range and I can simply reciprocate it. If I talk about its mean and variance, so mean is alpha plus beta by 2, that is the average of my interval. Of course, if I am talking about a range, I want the mean. Mean is the middle, mean is the average where my most data is centered. So it's basically average is my range and divide by 2. Clear? Variance of x is basically beta minus alpha's whole square divided by 2. Again, do not write these formulas, not very important distribution. When we will be talking about simulations in our further chapters, then we would be using this distribution, but for the timing it is not that important. You should know about these. You have the tables book, you have the access to formulas, so you do not need to learn these formulas. Okay. Till now, how many distributions I have told you guys to learn the PDF and variance wholeheartedly? What are the distributions? Fatima, what were the distributions that I told you in last class that you should know the PDF? Come on, anyone else in the class? What were the two distributions that I told you guys about that you should know these distribution wholeheartedly? Binomial distribution, the PDF variance and expectation should be learnt, and the Poisson distribution. Okay. Now moving forward, let's do a quick question. Note down the question and I want answers from you guys. First one, if my y variable follows uniform 50, 150. Now there is no issue in this sign, right? You know this sign means follows. Okay, it's a squiggle sign, right? If you see at the left of your keyboard below your escape key, then you can find this squiggle sign while writing up the answer in the exam. Okay. So, first part you have to calculate probability y is greater than 74, and second part you have to calculate probability 50 y 126. Try finding this, giving you 2 minutes. If you are stuck somewhere, give me that point in the chat box, I will clear it out. I want you to solve it. We would be doing a lot of questions throughout the course, so please be active in the class. Quickly, are you able to do, Fatima? Give me a sign that do you want more time or should we start discussing? Are you trying or should we start discussing better? Okay, so let's start. So the question says that we have to calculate y is greater than 74. So I will integrate because I want everything above 74 till 150. Why I am using integration and not sum? Because we are dealing in continuous distribution, right? In continuous you won't be using sum, you would be always using integration because there can be infinite number of points in the range where you can get the value. Okay, that's why integration. What will be the range? I want values from 74 to 150 or infinity. Will we integrate from 74 to infinity or 74 to 150? quickly in the chat box. One 50 or infinity, Fatima? Till 150. Okay, why? Because I have been given a restriction on my y, right? My y ranges from 50 to 150. So I have been provided a range and I would do the PDF. Clear? For example, why am I doing this? If you remember from, this is basic stats by the way. So if I say 1, 2, 3 and 4, this is point, for example 3, 0.4, 0.2, 0.1. Now I have been told to calculate probability x is greater than 3, x is greater than 2. So x is greater than 2. What are the two cases in x is greater than 2? We have 3 and 4. So we will add these probabilities, right? But here can be so many infinite number of cases, that's why it is not feasible to add every single point. That's why I am using integration. Here I was multiplying, adding the probabilities, I am integrating the PDF probabilities basically. This was probability x is equal to x, right? Clear? So, what was my fx? Fx was 1 upon beta minus alpha. Beta minus alpha is basically 150 minus 50 and dx. So, it becomes 74, 150 and this comes out to be at 100 and this dx. So, 1 by 100 and this is y 74 to 150, 1 by 100, 150 minus 74. So, I simply get 600 minus 74 is 26 by 100, 0.26. Okay? This is how you get your values. Moving further to second part. What was my second part saying? I have to calculate 50 y 126. Now my integration would be basically from 50 to 126, right? Because I have been given a range. I want the probability values till here. Simple. Fx dx is equal to, again my fx dx will be 1 upon 150 minus 50 dx. So, it becomes 1 upon 100 and my y range 100, this is 126 minus 50 will be, let us take it 50. This is coming out to be 76 by 100 which is 0.76. Yes. So, is it clear? Okay Fatima, let me repeat again. Okay, we have to be a little quick. It's okay if we are doing this for in current classes, but we have to be quick in the future sessions. Okay. So, please try to speed it up, but don't worry. In this class, look, what we did in this question is, what was my fx? My fx was 1 upon beta minus alpha. Simple. My beta is 150 and my alpha is 50. This is clear? Basically, this will come out to be 76. Clear? Okay, this is not clear. Let us do it again. My y was following uniform 0, 150 and I said if my x follows uniform alpha, beta, so my PDF is given out to be 1 upon beta minus alpha. Check out the tables book. In the tables book this formula has been given. This is my PDF. This is clear? So, if I compare this distribution to this notation, my alpha becomes 50 and my beta becomes 150. So, if I am to find my fy, this will basically become 1 upon 150 minus 50, 1 upon 100. Is this clear? Clear till now? How did we get by y as 1 upon 100? Okay. Now moving forward, I have to find probability y is greater than 74. It means I want my ranges, my value, probability of values where my y will be greater than 74. I have my y ranging from 50 to 150. So it means if I am talking about here 50, this is my, for example, 75, this is my 150. So I want my values from here to here, right? So if if this would have been my discrete distribution, what was I doing? 74, 75, 76, 77, I would be adding on the values, right? Probability values, as I told you in this table. If I was asked to calculate probability x is greater than 2, this would mean I have to calculate x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 4, because I know these are the points only. There is no other point at which my probability is lying. So this would be 0.2, 0.1. I would be adding these probability. This is simply my fx. Okay? Okay till now? So similarly now, since I have a long range, okay, and we have been given a continuous sample space. So continuous sample space basically means I can't define a particular point and I have to take lots of points, and when there are very small intervals and I have to sum anything over it, I use my integration sign. This is basic maths. When I have divided my range into very small units, it is not feasible to take out the probability at each point and add on these probabilities. That's why we use integration. Integration basically means from range this to this we are adding all the points. And what are my points I am adding here? I am adding probabilities, basically my PDF. So is this clear? How did we get this notation? Clear, Fatima? Now we want from what to what range. When I was asked probability x is greater than 2, so I was doing the values greater than 2 till the values where we have been defined. So I was defined till 3, 4, right? Nothing above that. Above that every probability would be 0. So it is illogical to calculate that. So that's why here also 74. What is my last range where I can get a defined value of y? It is 150. That's why my range becomes 74 to 150. And I would be integrating my PDF simply. Since we have y, so we will be doing y. Simple, no doubt. Now what is my PDF? PDF I had calculating 1 by 100. Now I have to do my basic integration. So constant comes out, integration of nothing, or integration of a constant is the variable itself. So 1 by 100 and I reduce the limit. So 1 by 100 into 76, this becomes 0.76. Is this clear now? How did we get 0.76? Come on, quickly tell me. Is this clear now? Now if you are having doubt, give me the point where you are actually having doubt. Okay. Now moving to our second part. What was my second part? I have to calculate 58, 50 basically, 50 by 126. Okay. So here I have been already given my restrictions. So what are my restrictions over my probabilities? 50 to 126, and I would be integrating my PDF only, right? What is my PDF? 1 by 100 you checked, this is y, right? Again, so 1 by 100 comes out and my this becomes y. I am placing my limits. Getting 0.76 now? Now calculate the distance between 50 and 126. 126 minus 50 was 76. Calculate the difference between 150 and 74, the upper question in the upper range. So the difference is 76. It means in uniform distribution, if my distance is same, here I was getting the distance of 76 units between my range, here also I was getting my difference of 76 units between my range, and in both cases I had the similar probability. So if my distance between the values, lower value and upper value is same, then my probability will come out to be same. Now no matter from where the range is starting, from where till where the range is ending, it just depends on the distance. If the distance is same, then my probability will be same. This is one of the observation of uniform distribution. And why this is same? Because it is uniform. It allots equal probability to each and every occurrence, even though the occurrences are infinite. Fatima, is it clear now? Uniform distribution clear? Once you give me a green flag, then only we will move forward to a gamma distribution. Is it clear or any doubt? Okay. Now note down the heading gamma distribution. A very important distribution. Okay. Very important, and when I talk CS2 involves the use of gamma distribution a lot. Okay. Now before moving to gamma distribution, let me give you an example where we can use gamma distribution. Have you ever heard about General Insurance Company? Anyone heard about General Insurance Company? Give me an example of General Insurance Company. So basically we have three types of insurance: life insurance, health insurance and general insurance. Life insurance, you basically know, something protecting our life or insuring our life. Health insurance is related to medicals. Everything and anything that is not falling in life and health is my general insurance. For example, if I insure my machinery, if I take a motor vehicle insurance, that's my general insurance. Okay, if I take my property insurance, that's my general insurance. So in general insurance company, gamma distribution is basically used to calculate their claims, to model their claims. Okay, that's the particular use of gamma distribution. This is just an example, can be a lot more uses, but I am just giving you an example. In general insurance company, they basically use gamma distribution to model their claims. Clear? Now before starting gamma distribution, I need to tell you some properties of gamma function. So note down the heading, properties of gamma function. So basically my gamma function is given as, this is my gamma sign. Okay, so if I am writing gamma fx, so gamma function is basically given as gamma z. Let me write, if I am writing gamma z, So gamma function ranges from 0 to infinity. I have t here, which is my variable. I have z minus 1, and this is equal to my, and this is with respect to my dt. This is my gamma function. Okay, if you are getting such integral, if you are getting an integral in such a format, then you can equate it with gamma z. Okay. Now some gamma. So if I am putting my gamma to alpha, okay, there is some variable or constant in which I have my gamma. So it is simply equal to that alpha minus 1 factorial. Okay. Clear, Fatima, till now? And is the speed okay now? Come on, tell me. Okay. Now if I put alpha as 1, so it will become 1 minus 1 factorial, which is 0 factorial, and 0 factorial you guys know is 1 only. Similarly, if I do 0 gamma, so 0 gamma is basically 1 only. 0 gamma is basically not defined, so we will not define 0 gamma because 0 minus 1 become minus 1 and minus 1 factorial is nothing. Okay, it is not defined. Now another, if we have gamma of half or something in fraction, if we have half of gamma, this is basically equal under root of pi. This is important because you can calculate these easily, but gamma half is not easy to calculate. That's why we have to learn this property, that gamma of half 1 by 2 basically. This is 1 by 2. Gamma of 1 by 2 is equal to root of pi. Noted these property. Can we move to gamma distribution now? If you have noted these properties, can we move to gamma distribution now? So its PDF is basically e raised to the power minus alpha lambda x, x raised to the power alpha minus 1 into lambda raised to the power alpha and alpha gamma, where my x follows gamma distribution and gamma distribution have parameters alpha comma lambda. Please remember this order, because in the question if you are giving gamma 3 comma 2, this means my alpha is 3 and my lambda is 2. That's why we need to remember this order. Okay, this can never be lambda comma alpha. This is always read as alpha comma lambda. So my first value is always taken as alpha and my second value is always taken as lambda. Clear? Moving to its expectation. Expectation is, I can show it as mu. Expectation is basically alpha by lambda, and my variance is basically sigma square. It's basically alpha by lambda square. Clear, guys? Let us do a question then. Let me have a question for you. So here the question is, prove that expectation of x is alpha by lambda if x follows gamma alpha comma lambda. So basically आपको इसका मीन प्रूव करना है कि मीन इतना ही आता है. You have to prove this. So how would you prove? How would you prove? You would do a simple integration. What is the formula of expectation of x in continuous distribution? It's basically over the range of x. I would be defining over my range of x. I would be integrating my PDF with and multiplication with x with respect to x. So this is the formula of expectation. Use this formula and then try integrating it. You have your fx defined. I have provided you the fx. So here is your fx. Use this formula and then try integrating it. I am giving you 2 minutes. You will be tested on integration. You should be well versed with integration if we are doing continuous distributions. Okay. Fatima, try doing. I want your contribution. Again, writing the formula for expectation of x for all x fx dx. Okay, and my x here ranges from x is greater than 0. So basically it ranges from 0 to infinity. Clear? Try doing in this. I am giving you 2 minutes. Here you have to basically use integration by parts. So those online, do you guys know the formula for integration of parts? If you want the formula, type formula in the chat box. I'll provide you the formula. Quickly. If you want the formula of integration by parts, I will provide you with the formula, no worries, but at least try. So look, the formula for integration by parts, if I have two functions in my integration, I take my first function as constant, then I integrate my second function, okay. Then I differentiate my first function and I again integrate my second function, and this whole is also integrated. Okay, let us do one thing. Since we are doing first question on gamma function, let me show you the integration, okay. But variance is something you guys will prove. I am showing you the integration for my expectation, okay. So let us do. So my expectation will basically become, what is the range? I told you 0 to infinity is the range, x remains same. What is my PDF? Formula for PDF is, it was e to the power minus lambda x, x raised to the power alpha minus 1, and e to the power and lambda to the power alpha. So I write the same PDF as it is it, and we have a gamma alpha in the denominator. Clear till now? Now can I simplify it a little? Yes. Lambda to the alpha, this is my gamma, this remains same, and my x alpha minus 1 plus 1 becomes alpha basically. Now I have to choose what is my first function and what is my second function. So we use the rule I late. So this is my first, let's take, this is a constant basically. If I have some value of alpha and lambda, this will be a constant. Is there any doubt in this being constant? This will be a constant. Is this clear? So if this is a constant, can I simply write this outside of my integral? I am left with this simple thing. Clear till now? Give me a green flag and then I will go forward. Is this clear, beta? Any problem till now? Okay. So this constant remains outside. Now I am talking about I late rule. So whatever comes first becomes my first function. I stands for integer, L stands for log normal, yeah, log basically normal nahi, log. A stands for algebra, T stands for trigonometry, E stands for exponential. So basically exponential is at start, so it always becomes my second function, and this is algebra, so it becomes my first function. Okay. So x to the power alpha becomes my first function and this becomes my second function. I am showing my integration by parts in this class. Now from this class you should be well versed with the integration by parts. Okay. We can't afford doing every integration by parts. Now what was the thing I said? Keep the first function as constant and integrate your second function as it is. We would be placing the limits at the end. So here I will place the limit 0 to infinity. Now coming to second, I would, let us not place limits in the integral. This is I am integrating, first I have to differentiate my first function, then I have to integrate my second function and I will place the limits 0 to infinity. This is the integration by parts. Okay. Now this remains as it is. Coming to this, what is the integration of e to the power minus lambda x if I use the chain rule? This becomes e to the power minus lambda x by minus lambda. This is 0 to infinity minus d by dx of x to the power alpha. Alpha is basically a constant, so alpha d by dx of x to the power, and I will use the concept of this. So this becomes this, and I am getting, this is within my integral, and if I integrate this, I am getting this only. Now putting in the limits. So if I put in infinity first, so infinity to do something will become infinity, e to the power minus infinity will be kept, right. I would be placing my infinity here. So this would basically become e to the power minus infinity, and e to the power minus infinity will be 0 or infinity. Fatima, e to the power minus infinity will be 0 or infinity. Look, understand this concept. If my limit of x is going to infinity and I am talking about minus x, this will be 0, okay. And if I am talking about x is going to infinity and we are talking about e to the power x, this will be infinity. Basically e is lying between my 2 and 3, right. So if e lies between 2 and 3 and I take a positive value and I keep on decreasing, I keep on dividing the things, so it will become very small value, that's why it will become 0. But if I keep on multiplying a positive value again and again and again, so it keeps on multiplying, like, right. If I take for example 2.2, if I am multiplying 2.2 into 2.2 into 2.2 for infinite number of times, so it keeps on magnifying, so that's why infinity. But if I am doing 1 by 2.2 into 1 by 2.2, so it's already a very small number, it's again a small number which is less than 1, so it keeps on converging, so converging till 0. That's why these two concepts, so I can say e minus infinity is basically 0 and e infinity is basically infinity. Clear, Fatima? Note it down quickly and then we can move to a question. So now if I put in the limits, so this becomes 0. Now talking about 0, so if I put in 0 here, so this will be 0, so anything multiplied will be 0. So this whole thing, so yes, so we have now coming to this portion. What is this V? This is lambda is a constant, alpha is a constant, I take out alpha as it is. Again I get the integration of 0 to infinity x alpha minus 1 e to the power minus lambda x, this minus alpha I can take out. This is dx. Now if you see, this is similar to, what is this? This is similar to what we get just here. So it will also converge to 1. Here we got 0, minus minus got plus, alpha by lambda it becomes, right? Is it clear till now? And we have 0 to alpha x alpha minus 1 e minus alpha x. Now if I talk about my gamma function, what was my gamma function? My gamma function was this e to the power minus t, t to the power z minus 1. If I replace everything from x, so it becomes e to the power minus t and t to the power x minus 1 dt, right? And if I replace my t with lambda, so it becomes e to the power minus t with yes, this become, if I replace my t with x and my x with alpha, so it becomes this, and this is what I am getting in here. I can transform this basically into my function of gamma. This I can transform into gamma function. Clear? This I will transform into gamma function. This will basically become the PDF of my gamma function, and once it becomes my PDF, this I am integrating my PDF to whole range, and whenever I integrate my PDF to whole range, I get 1. Why? If you remember discrete distribution, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I am summing all these 4 probability, I would be getting a 1. Similarly, if I would be summing all the probabilities throughout the range, I will always get 1. So this will basically I will get 1. So I get my mean as alpha by lambda. Please try solving this mean again at your home, then only you will understand how we get this gamma function, or how we get to prepare this gamma PDF. Clear, guys? Is this clear, Fatima? Basically, let's do it, let's try again, integration by parts. So we have by our alpha by lambda, this whole portion what became 0. So I was simply left with, what I was left with? I was left with this multiplied by this whole function, right? So I am left with this integral 0 to infinity, and I had a sign here. So alpha by lambda gamma alpha, this is the constant that I multiplied earlier, and we have this, right? If I take my alpha by lambda here, so minus minus becomes plus. So basically I get 0 to infinity alpha by lambda, lambda to the power alpha and x to the power alpha minus 1 into e to the power minus lambda x upon alpha gamma, and this is my PDF of gamma distribution. So PDF when integrated over the whole range becomes 1, so I get alpha by lambda only. So this is why I was saying, if you transform this, like if you multiply this into this, you will get the gamma distribution basically. We had already taken this constant, this is multiplied by this because I had a bigger bracket here, so that's why I was doing. Now your homework is, you have to try proving variance of x will coming out to be alpha by lambda square. Okay, this will also help you practice your integration, because again you will be using integration by parts. you will calculate your expectation of x square. What will be your expectation of x square? 0 to infinity x square. What is your PDF? Alpha by lambda gamma alpha x to the power alpha plus 1 and e to the power minus lambda x. Then you will add on this. So 0 to infinity x to the power alpha plus 3 lambda alpha x. You will try integrating this using by parts, and then you will simply you have already calculated your e to ex, and you will simply square it, subtract it, and then try proving if you are getting this equation. Okay, that's your homework. Now we have gone very slow, so we are left with still we are left with two distributions. Gamma distribution basically have two specializations, okay, two special cases. So case 1 is when it transform into exponential distribution. We will think exponential distribution as two of a distribution, okay. It is also a specialized case of gamma, and it is itself a whole-fledgedly distribution. Again, this is one of the distribution whose PDF and CDF I would ask you to remember, okay. And your case 2 will be basically chi-square distribution. Not so relevant in this chapter, but it is very important to calculate the gamma distribution values, because we have not been provided the values of gamma distribution in Tabor's book. That is why we transform chi-square into gamma distribution into chi-square and use the values of Tabor's book of chi-square. Again, when we are doing tests over hypothesis testing and all, we would be using chi-squares. Chi-square is basically used to test the accuracy of our assumptions or accuracy of our data. Clear? So we will be talking about these special cases in the next class. We are left with these two distribution, normal distribution, the very important distribution. But I won't ask you to remember its PDF because it's very complicated, okay. Second is log normal distribution. These two distributions we have to study again. Is that clear? So your homework is, guys, you have to prove this, you have to revise your integration, okay. Your integration should be on your tips, otherwise you won't be able to do the questions, because continuous distribution use integrations. Clear? Should we wrap up the class? Any